Hello and happy Friday. And I hope you had a good week and you're looking forward to a good weekend. Um, Mary and I have already planned our weekend out down to what we're gonna eat, what kind of spring cleaning we're gonna do, um, and part of what we plan is what movies we're gonna watch or what shows we're going to watch together. We love to watch shows together, movies, and talk about them. We hit the pause button and sort of discuss what's happening or what we think's gonna happen. But I thought on this Friday, to kick things off, I'd show you some of my favorite movies. And this is sort of a series. I've done quite a few videos like this, but I am sure you've seen some of these, but maybe some of these you've never heard of. So we'll start with Honest, which is a British movie that takes place in the 1960s. It stars the Appleton sisters and Melanie Blatt. And if those names sound familiar, it's because these three ladies are uh, most of the group All Saints. The movie is a crime thriller with a little bit of a black comedy, and it's lots of filthy language, which is interesting to see these songbirds swearing like sailors, and robbing banks and living the mod lifestyle of the 1960s. It's really an interesting movie, and as if you see Ciao Manhattan, you know that that's a time period that I think is really interesting. But the Appleton sisters are they're not bad actors, actually. I really enjoyed the film. Um, it's rated R. It's hard to find. This copy is PAL. It's not Region 1, so I have to watch it on a PAL DVD player or a computer. Um, but I have to admit, it's a fun movie, and I guarantee you that you won't be able to stop watching it once you put it on. It is extremely watchable. And I don't understand why more people haven't heard of it or why it's not more popular. But definitely recommend it if you want a late 90s action thriller starring the three singers from All Saints, and watching them be tough as nails, and it's pretty interesting. So this is Honest. Um, the next movie I'll show you is, and I think we talked about this a few videos ago when I was talking about Andy Warhol, but this is Ciao Manhattan, starring Edie Sedgwick, and this is a very hard to find DVD. Um, Edie is quite famous as Andy Warhol's muse, and she is quite legendary. She didn't live very long. The movie was completed after her death. It even acknowledges her death in the movie. It's somewhat sad to watch, to see Edie is clearly under the influence of substances in many of the scenes in the movie, and there are interviews of what it was like making it and working with her. So it's the movie itself is not good per se, but it is a snapshot of a different time period. And I forgot to show you the Honest artwork and chapter selection, but so but Ciao Manhattan is definitely, if you want to understand more about Andy Warhol, the factory, and Edie Sedgwick, this is a must watch. And there's some great special features on here too that flush her out a little bit more, and it's a good companion piece to my book about her called Edie. Now, if you're thinking you know this movie, Mobsters, I'm here to tell you that you've never seen this one. You've never seen this version, because this is the British version of Mobsters. It is an altogether completely different movie than the American version. This is also on PAL. It's not Region 1, so I have to play it on a PAL DVD player or a computer. This movie is entirely different than the American cut. Uh, I mean, this is a completely different movie. Scenes are in this movie that you never saw in the American version. Story is much different, much better. Uh, Things make more sense. There's a lot more about Lucky Luciano's romance with Mara Moats. There's a lot more about the 1920s culture. There's a lot more explaining how Lucky and Meyer Lansky became friends. There's just a much better cut of the movie, and if you're gonna watch Mobsters, watch the British version. It's much different, much better. I've never seen a movie differ so much, but American versus British. I mean, this is an entirely different cut that changes quite a lot of the movie. So, yeah, I don't think I've ever seen a movie that differed so much. But this is the superior version. So if you're gonna watch Mobsters, and if you want, or if you're a Mobsters fan, and if you want to re-experience the movie in a completely different way, find the British version, bring it home, put it on your computer, and watch it, and you will find this to be an interesting experience. So yes, this is the United Kingdom PAL version of Mobsters. A different movie, and I've got a few other British versions of American movies, but like I said, I've never seen one that's this different. So check it out. This is one of my all-time favorite movies, Lawrence of Arabia, about T.E. Lawrence, with a book that comes with it, about Lawrence himself. And the movie was actually filmed on location. They even ended up finding the remains of train tracks that T.E. Lawrence had blown up when he was fighting in World War One. So if you don't know who he was, Thomas Edward Lawrence was a English scholar who joined the army and became a colonel, and led the forces in Arabia against the Turkish forces that were in the what wasn't called the Austria-Hungary alliance. Included Turkey, and there was the I oh my gosh, I'm blanking, but it now Axis, but they had a different name for the adversaries during World War One, and it's kind of on the tip of my tongue. But anyway, Turkey was part of it. So Lawrence, in fact, the movie's based on this book, which is one of my favorite books of all time. The Seven Pillars of Wisdom. Most of this, what you see in the movie, comes from the pages of this book written by Lawrence himself. So he was a controversial figure, and some people, and the movie touches on that. Some people have a hard time pegging him. He's a very mysterious individual, and Peter O'Toole played him to perfection. Also, the movie itself, directed by David Lean, is just full of sweeping cinematography, views of the desert, and just a beautiful and amazing to watch, with the thrilling soundtrack by I think it was Maurice Jarre, I want to say. Just one of my all-time favorite movies. I watched it several times, and it's dramatic, it's action-packed, and it's difficult to watch in a lot of scenes too. It touches on a lot of very hard topics that was unusual for a movie made during that time. So it comes in this really handsome DVD case. It's fabric with gold and the artwork. So the next movie I want to show you is the 1954 theatrical movie Dragnet. This was made after the show had been out for a while. It's in color. This story is based off of the murder of Harry Greenberg. In case you were wondering, this was a murder committed by Bugsy Siegel and Frankie Carbo, and it makes some pretty direct references, particularly to Frankie Carbo and Harry Greenberg and why he was killed and the witnesses and everything. So that's what the movie's about. If you watch the movie Bugsy, they also had a scene where the character who was supposed to be Harry Greenberg was being murdered by Bugsy, but this is a little bit more accurate. Jack Webb, most of his stories in Dragnet were based on true crimes, and this is one of them. But it's just a really, really good movie. It's very dramatic, and they could do things in the movie they couldn't do on the TV show. And also, interestingly, if you watch the movie, it was originally going to be 3D, and you see that in many scenes in the film. But they, I guess, at the last minute decided not to shoot it in 3D, so it's in 2D. But it was storyboarded and staged for a 3D movie. This is the Kino Lorber version. This is Blu Ray, and I highly recommend this movie. It's the three characters, Joe Friday, Frank Smith, his detective, and the policewoman, Officer Frank Smith, and what's her name? She plays quite. Anne Robinson is the actress, but she plays a pretty pivotal part as a brave policewoman who goes undercover, and then there's some chemistry between her and Joe Friday. You never really see him, with a girl too much, and so it's also interesting to see Friday kind of being smooth with a lady. You never see that in the show, so it's really an altogether interesting movie to watch. And I watched this as a kid with my mom, and I really liked it. And this was one of the first things that got me interested in Dragnet because I liked the movie so much. So that's Dragnet. This next movie is one of my favorite westerns of all time. It's called Silverado, and this is the Blu Ray, and it comes with this little booklet. And the movie is just a fun, exciting, and funny western with this amazing cast, including Jeff Goldblum, Kevin Kline, Scott Glenn, Roseanne Arquette, Danny Glover, Kevin Costner, Brian Dennehy. Just this amazing cast of superstars. And a classic Old West story, kind of along the lines of Louis L'Amour, something like he would write, but with a really strong sense of humor. It's also got a memorable scene with John Cleese from Monty Python. I really, really enjoyed this movie, and I highly recommend it. Kevin Kline, the best Kevin Kline movie ever, the best Scott Glenn movie ever. Rosanna Arquette, I liked her in this and in Son of the Morning Star, where she played Libby Custer. John Cleese, of course, is always fun to watch. Kevin Costner, Brian Dennehy, Danny Glover. Jeff Goldblum, Linda Hunt. And I mean, if you haven't watched this movie, I just want to say, what are you waiting for? This is one of the greatest westerns ever. So much fun to watch. Moves really quick. Great soundtrack. Great cinematography. Great scenery. Great story. Lots of one-liners. Lots of shootouts. I mean, it's just got everything you want in a western. And star-making role for Kevin Costner. I really like this one. I've watched it so many times. Unfortunately, I've almost memorized the dialogue. Occupational hazard for a movie lover. I know when you already know every line before it happens, but I still love this one. Let's look at the blue and the gray. This is I showed the book not that long ago, but I love this movie very much. And for some reason, the Alpha Dog DVD is in here too. That is a mystery. This is also a good movie, but I've been looking for this DVD for a long time, and I don't know why it's in here. So, but Alpha Dog is another movie I'd love to talk about with Bruce Willis, Justin Timberlake, about the Jesse James Hollywood case. And I'm glad I finally found my DVD. So, but The Blue and the Gray is a mini series that came out around the same time as North and South, but it's a little less soap opera like, I guess you could say. It's much more about the history of the Civil War through the eyes of an artist who is he doesn't want to take either side. He's a southerner. He has family on the north and the southern side, but he chooses to become a war correspondent so he won't get involved. And his family doesn't take to that very well, but he chronicles the war from Bull Run all the way to Appomattox Courthouse and the assassination of President Lincoln. Uh, just a thrilling, epic saga of family torn apart during a war. It spares very little. This is the unedited version. There's another version that's called the Recut, which I do not recommend. This is the version I would get. It is somewhat violent for the time it was made, for a made-for-TV movie, and it deals with very, very harsh topics. So if you're going to watch The Blue and the Gray, make sure you watch this version. Okay, next. One of my favorite movies, LA Confidential, goes right along with Dragnet. This is the 3 disc, okay, the 3 disc super special edition. Even includes the pilot for the TV show that would have starred Kiefer Sutherland. This movie is by the book by James Elroy, interesting author who was a big fan of Dragnet too, and the Dragnet show and Jack Webb character and everything is in this movie, just by a different name. But it's also about the Los Angeles police, the LAPD, in the 1950s when and just the things they were dealing with. Mickey Cohen, the tabloids, the mafia, all of those things sort of come together into a big climax in this thrilling movie with Guy Pearce, and Russell Crowe in one of his earliest star-making performances, and Kim Basinger. Of course, Kevin Spacey was in this, and I mean, I'm not gonna lie, he gave a terrific performance, one of his best ever. And it's another one of those cases like Roman Polanski and other actors who you try to separate their personal life from their artwork. And Kevin Spacey did a fine job in this movie. There's just no two ways about it. And he was one of the best characters in it. So, I mean, but still, you gotta. In the times we're living in now, I mean, I don't know if there's ever gonna be an actor who's not canceled pretty soon because, and I'm not undermining what he did. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying that the more we find out about people's lives, the less we want to know. It seems like, and I think it's increasingly harder and harder to. I just don't even get attached to the actors anymore. I guess you could say because just as soon as I start liking them, I find out they've done something heinous. So, but either way, it's still a good movie. And moving from that, here's a segue. How about let's talk about an actor who is beloved, and of course I'm talking about Keanu Reeves, and I'm talking about John Wick. The first two John Wick movies are the best. I watched Parabellum, and I haven't watched the fourth one yet, but of course I will. Keanu Reeves is a living legend now. He has managed to be beloved in the movies and in real life, and this is one example of a movie that everyone loves, John Wick. And this set includes two of these coins. The the underground sort of network of assassins. They have their own currency, their own hotel, which is like a safe zone, and the lore of John Wick as it goes from what seemingly starts out as just a crime movie, and you find out there's this whole invisible world that they're all part of. So this is a great set to own, and I think that you actually have to open the box up to. I've I've kept this all together just because I just like the presentation of it, and it does come with the two coins. You can see both sides of them. The coins themselves are identical, but that's a nice little touch. And then, of course, the movies and John Wick and John Wick 2. Two great movies on Blu Ray. If you haven't watched John Wick, do yourself a favor. Watch it. Even if you don't think you're going to like it, even if you don't think you like action movies or whatever, just watch it and give it a chance, and you will probably find that it's not what you expected. It's an extraordinarily good piece of filmmaking. So, here's an extraordinarily bad piece of filmmaking. It's called Quest for the Delta Knights. It's also alternately called Quest of the Delta Knights, but I don't know. I think they might have just put the wrong title on this, to tell you the truth, and I wouldn't be surprised. It says, in an age of swords and sorcery, one young hero holds the key to infinite wisdom and ultimate power. And it has David Warner and Olivia Hussey. And they always say, whenever you see actors in little boxes on movies, beware. But no, David Warner is in the movie throughout, playing two parts. I don't know why. The movie was filmed at Renaissance festivals in California, and you can definitely see that when you watch it. It's extremely low budget, and it's incredibly funny to watch because it's just so terrible. It's one of the worst movies, and it is certainly so bad it's good. Along the lines of The Room or Birdemic or Dangerous Men or some other ones. Let me just read the back. In a time long past, an entire land suffers under the iron-fisted rule of the evil Lord Voltaire and his sinister queen, the Manerjay. Standing against this scourge are the Delta Knights, a secret order dedicated to bringing mankind out of the dark by unearthing the legendary Lost Storehouse, a wondrous arsenal of technology with the power to lead mankind out of the dark ages and into the age of enlightenment. And they're skipping the Renaissance, I guess. Okay, this magnificent feat is spearheaded by a kindly beggar Beidul, a Delta Knight. He teaches a bright young slave boy T the wonders of the writings of the great scientist Archimedes and sends him on a quest to find the storehouse. While on his journey, T meets a young unknown artist, Leonardo da Vinci, who reveals himself as a Delta Knight and beautiful young servant girl named Thena. Together, they continue their adventure where good battles evil for the future of mankind. Um, is just one amazingly crazy bad movie. And I love watching it just because it's so entertaining. Here's some other titles of other probably bad movies too. So I'm proud to own this though, and I do love to put it in and marvel at the terribleness of this movie. The just they managed to get good actors like Richard Kind, like David Warner. You might know him from Titanic. Olivia Hussey from Romeo and Juliet. Um, they have decent actors, and they made this terrible movie. So just it was made in the '90s, so it's modern, but the some of the funny things are they employed a lot of Renaissance Festival regulars, I suppose, to be extras. So you have costumes ranging from 16th century to Viking to medieval knight to nonsense. Just it also has I don't see her name here. Uh There's another big actress. She was in, I think she was in Superman 2, is in this too. There's actually a lot of big actors, and I have no idea if they owed money or whatever, why, or how they got them to be in this movie. Now, here is one of my favorite movies of all time. This is a good movie. This is Rio Bravo with John Wayne, Dean Martin, and Ricky Nelson. One of the greatest westerns ever made. This is the movie that other westerns look at when they run out of ideas. This is just a remarkably good movie, and I have a remarkably good DVD set here that includes the movie itself with special features, a set of lobby cards that are just gorgeous, showing the characters from the movie, the beautiful Angie Dickinson, John Wayne, Dean Martin, and Ricky Nelson. John Wayne as Chance. It's the gunfight, the song scene where they sing My Rifle, My Pony, and Me. Dean Martin, Walter Brennan, and John Wayne. I think that's is that Ward Bond and Ricky Martin. Just a nice little set of lobby cards. And I also got the movie book that came with the premiere. It shows the posters. This is just a great movie. You've got to watch it. If you haven't seen it, this is the movie that this defines the Western. And even I got the comic book that covers the movie. So, what a fun set this is. So, if you haven't seen Rio Bravo, do yourself a favor and watch it. A great movie, and I hope that some of these movies gave you some ideas. So, if you were bored and you want something to watch, check one of these out. I'll go ahead and wrap this video up. It's Friday, and I want to get on with the weekend. Tune in again on Sunday, and we'll look at something else. And as always, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. and leave a comment, a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't done so. All these things help my channel. And until next time, bye.